Coming up, the debate over school choice, the message those rallying for public education want to be heard.
Dedicated to Eastern and Southern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News at 11.
Good evening, I'm Steve Hensley. The topic of school choice in the Commonwealth will be settled this fall by Kentucky's voters. The legislature previously approved a school choice measure, but the state Supreme Court struck it down as unconstitutional. In the build-up to ballots being cast this November, groups on both sides are rallying. Jeremy Toms has the latest on this ongoing debate.
Protect Our Schools KY launched its campaign in Lexington on Tuesday, with the coalition saying it's dedicated to defeating the school choice amendment in Kentucky.
For many students, public schools are more than just a place of learning. They are a lifeline. We must do everything we can to protect them.
The group is backed by the Kentucky Parent Teachers Association, the KEA, and on Tuesday, several of Fayette County's leaders spoke out as well.
We're funneling resources away from an already underfunded public school system into unaccountable private schools.
Constitutional Amendment 2 will appear on Kentucky ballots this fall. If passed, it will allow the legislature to provide public dollars to, quote, students outside the system of common schools.
The tapestry of education in Kentucky is woven from the fabric of our public schools, and every student deserves to be a part of it.
Opponents like this rising Henry Clay Sr. say the amendment would tear at that very fabric. But Jim Waters is among those in favor of parents having options. He points to the success of other states with better academic outcomes than Kentucky.
In Florida, the more choice they had, the better their public education system performed.
Waters notes that 45 other states have some sort of school choice system. Says they also tend to spend less.
In Fayette County, we're spending $22,000 per pupil. How much do these folks think we should spend before it becomes about something other than money?
But FCPS board chair Tyler Murphy contends that public schools are being asked to do so much more than just educate. And losing those dollars would be detrimental.
We're feeding children, we're connecting them with community resources, we're providing health care. With less resources to do that work, then all of that work's jeopardized.
In Lexington, Jeremy Toms, WKYT.
Protect Our Schools KY used the meeting to discuss how voters can get involved in various organizing efforts. The coalition will have more campaign events during the next week in Ashland and Louisville. Kentucky is one of 26 states fighting against a change to Title IX protections. On April 19th, the U.S. Department of Education released a final rule adding the term gender identity to the list of banned bases for discrimination. The first of several cases was heard in Lexington Federal Court. Attorneys for the plaintiffs say the federal blanketed rule is in direct conflict with some local and state laws. Others say the new rule would offer life-saving protections.
This is why we're asking the court today. This is why we when the rule was announced on April 29th, we launched into 5 different lawsuits against the administration because we don't want to have these school districts having to make these tough decisions very quickly.
There are an estimated 2,000 trans kids living in Kentucky today, and the thought that our elected officials at the highest level would waste state resources attacking them, targeting them, as they've been doing for the past several years, is really pitiful.
Final regulations do not include new rules governing eligibility criteria for athletic teams. As of now, the new rules are set to go into effect August 1st.
Well, I hope you got out and enjoyed today as we had temperatures in the 70s. Some places stayed in the upper 60s because there's a change coming, and that takes place starting tomorrow. Numbers for today made it to 74 in Jackson, 70 in Pikeville, as well as Clintwood. Wise made it to 70, 79 in Jonesville, 78 in Harlan. London made it to 75, 76 in Irvin. Moorhead checking in with a high of 73 degrees. And right now, we're seeing temperatures in the mid to upper 50s, even low 60s. 62 in Jackson, 61 in Pikeville, 55 the Double Nickels in Grundy, 61 in Harlan, 57 in Williamsburg. All is quiet on the radar scan. There's a weak, and let me emphasize the term weak, shower just south of Harlan, but that's about it. 99.9% of us staying mainly clear throughout the evening and overnight hours, and we'll see temperatures going into the mid-50s by 6 a.m., mid-70s by the noon hour. And as I mentioned, hope you enjoyed today because a change is taking place starting tomorrow. We'll talk about that in the First Alert forecast in a few minutes. Steve, over to you.
All right, Eric, thanks. Police continue to investigate a possible animal attack that led to a woman's death in Letcher County. Trina Sandlin of Jeremiah was found dead over an embankment on Doty Creek. Police said her injuries were similar to those of an animal attack. Trooper Matt Gayhart says it's not common, but this has happened before in the region. Gayhart says community members should continue to stay aware of potentially dangerous animals.
I would just encourage everybody, when you're outdoors, especially this time of year, to use caution, be aware of your surroundings. If you think you're in a bad spot or, you see any kind of activity from any type of animals that may seem aggressive in nature, make sure you seek shelter.
Police have not said what type of animal they believe attacked Sandlin. No foul play is suspected. A former Eastern Kentucky prison supervisor will spend time in federal prison. Eric Nantel was sentenced to 7 years. He was convicted of depriving an inmate of his rights and lying to investigators. Prosecutors say Nantel watched as 3 guards assaulted an inmate in Morgan County in 2018 and then tried to cover it up. They argued Nantel could have stepped in to stop the assault. The other guards involved were all sentenced after pleading guilty. An endangered child alert was issued for a missing 5-year-old out of Claiborne County, Tennessee. Police are looking for October Cooper in New Tazewell. Officials say she could be with her non-custodial mother, Victoria Cooper. She's wanted for custodial interference. If you see either October or her mother, you should call police immediately. Kentucky State Police are now using cadaver dogs in the search for a missing 8-month-old from Ohio County. Maya Tucker Rudd was last seen in late April, and her parents cannot tell police where she is. KSP says Family Services removed 3 older siblings from the home some time ago. They were also in the process of removing Maya, whose umbilical cord tested positive for meth. But when officials went to the home on May 30th, the baby was not there. Several people are facing various charges already in this case. 4 teenagers are accused of stealing 2 school buses from a Southern Kentucky garage. Police say the teens ran away from Appalachian Children's Home in Barberville before taking one of the buses for a joyride to Lexington, then crashing it. Tonight, we're hearing some of the 911 calls made on the morning the buses were taken.
How long should it be on for?
Not even 5 minutes.
For the 3rd time, just received a call from that male subject from the children's home has walked away again.
But I just passed Central Elementary, and there's a bus sitting in the parking lot, and it looks like it's been wrecked. But the gate of the bus garage has been drove through.
The Knox County Sheriff says the teens ages 13 to 15 will face serious theft, wanton endangerment, and criminal mischief charges. They will be placed in other juvenile detention facilities. Nobody at Appalachian Children's Home wanted to comment. Representatives from Bluegrass Care Navigators gathered at Q95 in Prestonsburg for the annual Pikeville Radio Day. WYMT's Buddy Forbes was there as the staff was seeking support from the studio.
Broadcasting live from the Q95 FM studios with some special guests.
Bluegrass Care Navigators hit the airwaves Tuesday, sharing its mission with the region.
Grief care service is a wonderful thing that we can do for the families that have also experienced grief, and it's completely no cost to them through what we're doing today, and that's fundraising.
The Pikeville Radio Day shared stories of services, support, and sponsors, hoping to bring in more money for the outreaches the organization provides.
Camp Hope, that is for children and their families that have experienced grief, and they're just needing some extra care from us. And then also another one of our programs is our Care for All Fund that we're here raising money for. That allows us to have money to care for patients beyond just their normal needs.
While the event serves as a way to keep providing no-cost camps and programs to patients in need, it also serves as a way to address the stigma often associated with hospice care.
People think that hospice is a scary, sad word, when in my point of view, hospice is so much hope. And sometimes that hope is redefined. Hope may initially look like a cure, and then you may have to redefine that hope into, well, I would like to enjoy Christmas with my family.
Dialing in the donations, determined to make a difference.
With that knowledge that I don't know how much time anyone has left, we get to take the rest of it and make the best of it.
In Floyd County, Buddy Forbes, WYMT Mountain News.
If you missed the radio day, you can still donate to the organization. There is a link for that on our website. Southern Baptists have expelled a Virginia church that believes women can serve as pastors. First Baptist Church of Alexandria has a female pastor to women and children and asserts women can serve as senior pastor too. Last year, 2 congregations were ejected from the convention for that same reason. This comes as delegates prepare to vote on a formal ban on churches with women pastors. Thousands of Southern Baptists are in Indianapolis for their 2-day annual meeting. President Biden says he will accept the outcome of his son Hunter's criminal case and will continue to respect the judicial process. The president made the statement after jurors convicted Hunter Biden in his federal gun case in Delaware. CBS's Nicole Skanga reports from Wilmington.
The jury of 6 men and 6 women convicted Hunter Biden of all 3 felony charges stemming from his 2018 purchase of a revolver. The jury found the president's son guilty of illegally possessing a gun while he was addicted to crack cocaine and making false statements about using drugs when he bought the firearm. Special counsel David Weiss oversaw the investigation into Hunter Biden.
It was these choices and the combination of guns and drugs that made his conduct dangerous.
As the verdict was read after only about 3 hours of deliberation over 2 days, the defendant looked straight ahead and showed little emotion. CBS News spoke to juror number 10, who asked not to be identified.
The biggest thing that he did was lied about not being a drug addict and not using cocaine and buying a gun.
Hunter Biden faces up to 25 years in prison when he's sentenced by U.S. District Judge Mary Ellen Noreika. But as a first-time offender, it's unlikely he'll get the maximum. President Biden says he will not pardon his son.
I think the defense did about as good as they possibly could have, saying here that the form was unclear, that Hunter Biden may not have been using drugs at that time, and that the definition of the term addict was left open to interpretation.
In a written statement, Hunter Biden said he was disappointed by the outcome, but grateful for the support of family and friends. After the verdict, President Biden changed his schedule to be by Hunter's side in Delaware. Nicole Skanga, CBS News, Wilmington, Delaware.
Hunter Biden's attorney said they will continue to pursue all the legal challenges available. He also faces a federal tax trial in California.